shame on the individual expert of this cognition test saying that CJ Stroud's a big old dummy. Because guess what, pal? He ain't a dummy. Your dumbass is the dummy out of anything. CJ Stroud is proving he's smarter than any of these rookie quarterbacks that you put out there. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young. CJ Stroud is the star of this fucking draft class, buddy. Like you said, he's not a test taker. He's a football player. All About the Balls podcast with Mark Davis, Chris Meinhardt, Luke Rule, and Nick the Doc Skirkowitz. Welcome to All About the Balls podcast. I'm Mark Davis in the Sack House, joined alongside my fellow Space UCF boy over here, Luke Rule. Luke, big weekend for the Baltimore Ravens. You know, you guys took control of the Seattle Seahawks. You guys blew them out. I know they were traveling across country, but hey, a blowout's a blowout. And how you feeling, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, feeling good. I mean, I was saying it all week that the Seahawks, when we come over to M&T Bank Stadium, a little sleepy coming off that early kickoff, that 1 o'clock kickoff in Baltimore, which they did. I mean, Ravens defense, defensively, just dominated the game again, just like we did against the Lions. So these NFC teams they're struggling against Lamar. He's 18-1 against NFC teams in his career.
Yeah, I would like to know who that one NFC team is, but
you guys. I saw it earlier. Oh, I don't remember. It was a shitty team, too.
Here, you pull it up while I say this real quick. Yeah, you guys have beaten the Lions and the Seahawks combined score 75-9. So very, very impressive. I know Lamar, once again, he didn't have to have a huge game. I mean, I know he ran the ball a lot more efficiently yesterday against the Seattle Seahawks, but the passing game didn't have to be there. I know he made some good plays out there, but your defense dictated the game, and once again, you didn't have to play the fourth quarter. I know Odell finally got a touchdown, so good for the Ravens, Luke. Wish the Falcons could say the same thing. I mean, we had to play two quarterbacks, so we weren't prepared for Josh Dobbs, honestly. But that's not what I mean. It's not that we had to prepare it. That's a bad thing. We lost to Josh Dobbs. Jaron Hall, I think he got out in the second series. He took a nasty hit. Lowered his shoulder, and then he got slammed to the ground. There's no intent there, but big hit, got a concussion. You can see it. And, we lost to Josh Dobbs, and it's a shame because Heineke looked a lot better than Des Ridder, but like you're pointing out in the text messages, Luke, Tyler Heineke got away with a lot of throws. I mean, you can tell he was just kind of slinging it up. Sucks that Drake London wasn't there, but hey, no Jefferson as well. So, I mean, we were dealing with the same thing they were dealing with, but it is announced that Heineke will be starting against Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals this week. So hopefully, Luke, we find our rhythm this week against Arizona.
Yeah, I mean, that was a rough game for you guys to watch Josh Dobbs come in there and just on 5 days with zero practice and just light up your defense like he did. Yeah, he had, I think 3 turnovers? He had 2, and you guys had a safety on him. So kind of 2 turnovers plus something better than a turnover.
Yeah, I mean, the fumble he hit off his knee, it looked like, and then I forgot the other turnover. But yeah, we each had turnovers. So I mean, their offense was just a little more effective. And I know, like I said, our defense was not put in a good position for those 2 turnovers, but so weren't the Vikings, like you said. So I mean, it goes both ways. It would just suck. It would just be nice, if the offense would just kind of bail out the defense a little bit more because it's not good. I mean, if you want the defense to not be gassed out, you got to get off. Well, that's another thing is stay on the field longer than a few plays too. Like drive the ball, give them time to fucking catch a breath, and then score points when it matters. That's the problem. We don't score in the red zone.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson's one loss is to the Giants, a 24-20 loss to the Giants.
Ooh. When was that? Was that like early in his career, or was that?
I'm assuming it's early. It doesn't say when. I have to go back and dig deeper, but yeah, one loss to the NFC in his career.
They asked him that too, leading into the game. He's like, I don't care. He's like, I play who's there, and
it's an interesting stat. That I would have definitely thought he would have had more losses to NFC teams in his career.
I had a buddy of mine, like I said, the same guy. He's like, well. I was like, I hate the Ravens kind of because I have a guy that dick rides them talking about you. And he's like, well, now we know how you feel because you're dick riding the Ravens. I'm like, no, I think the Ravens defense is solid. I don't care who they beat. but their defense has looked good this year. And that's usually the recipe for the Ravens is great defense. The offense can be questionable at times in the history of, that since you've watched them. And then he's like, yeah, but they caught the Lions. They were traveling East Coast. I'm like, they're the same time zone, man. Like, he's like, yeah, but there's like a stat coming to the coast of the East. I was like, so playing near water is more effective than – I was like, it's the same time zone, dude. Like, it's the Detroit to Baltimore is Eastern time. It's 1 p.m. to 1 p.m. It's not like the Seattle Seahawks where they are traveling across the country, and it's 10 a.m. their time. So I get that being a little more of a stat than the traveling from Detroit, Michigan to Baltimore, Maryland. So I don't know.
Yeah,
just
the Lions just came sleeping that week.
Yeah, they just came in and just had a bad week. I keep saying the Ravens. I mean, we're going to see it, and that opens the door. Luke, AFC right now they are top heavy. You have the Ravens and the Chiefs, both 7-2 based on based on conference record. The Chiefs are number one in the playoffs. If it ended today, they would have the conference bye, and then the Jaguars are 6-2. So they had already had a bye week, so they're half a game unfortunately behind, and they did lose to the Chiefs week 2, 17-9. But that's then, and this is now. Like, so much has changed. So I guess through these first 9 weeks of the NFL's season, I know where you're leaning, but who is the AFC's best team? I mean, it's pretty equal though, in my opinion, based on stats. But who are you leaning towards?
Yeah, based on stats, pretty close. But I'm going to lead towards the Ravens on this. I mean, their defense I think is a little bit better than Kansas City. Plus, the only thing on offense like Kansas City really has going for them is the Mahomes to Kelsey duo, and that's it. Like, they can't do anything else. Like, their run game is decent, but it's not great. The Ravens can run the ball on pretty much any team. And our defense is confusing quarterbacks, and not letting up like double-digit games is really helping us. So, I mean, our wins have been more significant than the Kansas City wins. Kansas City is barely winning games. The Ravens are blowing teams out. So,
I mean, I wouldn't say the wins. Like, I mean, I get it. Like, they did beat the Jaguars. They held the Jaguars in 9 points. That's pretty impressive. And then
that was the early Jaguars when they were struggling, though. That was their little Jaguar slump. They didn't go to London yet.
They did hold the Miami Dolphins to 14 points too, and under Tyreek Hill under I think 70 or 80 yards. So I think that's pretty impressive as well. Holding one of the top receivers, probably one
international game too.
Yeah,
but those games are always weird.
Kansas City got there Friday though, so they didn't have as much time to get ready or to be less jet lagged as the Miami Dolphins. So
they're only team to come late to win.
I do think though, like I get it, like what you're saying. It's neck to neck. Like, I mean, you're comparing literally oranges to oranges here. Like, the Chiefs, statistically, yes, they're just behind the Ravens in every defensive category when it comes to yards per game, points per game, and sacks. They're just behind the Ravens. I agree with you. And even offensively, they're just very like point something yards, total yards, and like 3 points more game than the Chiefs. But this is the Chiefs struggling, and they are getting Rice more involved, which that's another name, Luke, that I know you didn't mention, but he has been playing good ball. I know this week only had 2 catches, but it is a Germany game, so I want to see more from him. But I think what it comes down to, and this is no disrespect towards Lamar. Lamar's playing good football, not his MVP type year that he had in 2019. I'm sorry, 2020.
Actually, he is. They put his side-by-side stats up. So his rushing's a little bit down, but his passing's up this season.
So maybe that's what it is, and maybe there's just
his stats are very similar.
I think what it also is that maybe that's another thing, is maybe it's misleading because there's so many other candidates right now like that are playing as high level as Lamar. But I think what it comes down to is I just trust Patrick Mahomes more than I trust Lamar Jackson. I'm taking the best quarterback in this situation over Lamar. And if Lamar proves me wrong and later in the season, and let's say he gets to the AFC Championship or farther than Patrick Mahomes, or even if he barely loses to Patrick Mahomes in the AFC Championship, I'll give that respect that, hey, the Ravens were a hell of a team all year. Now, I'm not saying they're a bad team. Like, I just think that if I'm asking right now, like, they're playing head-to-head in a mutual site, I'm going to go the Chiefs. I just trust Patrick Mahomes to make the necessary play just a little more than Lamar Jackson. But the rest of it, it's pretty fucking equal, honestly. I mean, it's the quarterback. That's what it is. I just trust the best QB more than a top, I guess this year, top 4 or 5 QB in the league as well. I'm not saying Lamar's having a bad year. I think what he's doing, I know Doc rips on him all the time. I know yesterday was wild when he came in the chat.
He's just jealous because his quarterback can't do what Lamar does.
Yeah, like I'm not saying like Lamar is playing bad. I think Lamar's having a good year. I mean, I think right now through 9 weeks, the Ravens are one of the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. I'm just going to go with Patrick Mahomes for the AFC just because I've seen what he can do time and time again with, he did it last year without Tyreek Hill. So I like what I see from Patrick Mahomes consistently on a every week basis than Lamar Jackson. That's mainly what it is.
Yeah, I mean it's always hard to bet against Mahomes. Doesn't matter who he has lining up on offensively. He's just a different talent. But I mean Lamar's a different talent too. Completely different quarterback types. But I just trust the Ravens roster overall more than I trust the Chiefs roster. Like their Ravens defense got slight edge, and I think we have more offensive weapons than the Chiefs do. Chiefs got 2. The Ravens have a whole handful. And this week, Flowers only had 1 catch. So, I mean, the Ravens still put up 30-plus points with 1 catch.
Yeah.
They could have easily hung 40-plus on.
Yeah, but you sat your starters in the fourth quarter of game besides, Odell that catch.
They sat the starters in the fourth quarter and took a knee on 4th down.
That's respect. But no, I mean, I do think, Luke, if these two teams play each other, it'd be a very similar game to the Dolphins. And not like the Dolphins are going to play like or the teams that play like the Dolphins, they start off so slow, but score-wise, I'm thinking like high teens, low 20s. Like, I think it's going to have a little bit of flash of offense, but a lot of defense. Because both these defenses, like you said, they get to the quarterback. Like, they're top 2 in sacks. So I think Lamar and Patty might have a very tough day trying to get their weapons involved, honestly, if they played.
Yeah. And credit to our defense. I'm scared we're going to lose our defensive coordinator after this season because he is just scheming up the defense. Is like he'll line everybody up in line of scrimmage and drop people out, or he'll send the house, and the quarterbacks just don't know it's coming. It was confusing Gino all day. Like he was getting the wrong reads on defense. That's where they really struggled. And just no missed tackles and clean game besides the 2 fumbles.
Yeah, but it sucks that you guys don't play them this year. Virtue, you guys didn't win the division last year. The Bengals did. So it doesn't mean you won't. I mean, you might see them in the playoffs. It might be AFC Championship. It could be AFC Division round because you still have the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I mean, they still play you guys. So they did, like I said, they lost to the Chiefs. So they have a chance to kind of avenge that loss and keep playing hot. Like they're playing some of the hottest football since that Week 3 loss they had earlier in the year. So I was against the Texans
Miami
actually.
Too.
You got we're gonna talk Miami in a minute, but I'm not Miami against winning teams. Not a good combination for the Dolphins. But I say watch out for the Jaguars. They have a tough matchup this week against the Niners, so we'll see where their heads are at for this week.
We have Ravens 2 tough matchups coming up, 2 home games, but 2 divisional games. Browns, Bengals, and both teams are they're pretty hot right now too. So I mean, 2 big matchups, and Ravens win these 2 games. We're off to the races for the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess you could make an argument for Joe Burrow because, like you said, they are hot. They've won what 4 in a row or something like that.
Yeah, they're 5 in a row, maybe.
They've won 4 in a row. Yeah, they were 1-3, and this is that time of the year like where Joe Burrow gets hot. The defense has been solid most of the year, I think, but it's the time right now. Like
I think it's just their pass rush is getting there. I don't think the Bengals secondary is there at all. It's just their 2 edge rushers are just getting to the quarterback. And you saw
their secondary is
pretty deep. Allen was getting eaten up.
Their secondary is pretty decent too. Dak Hill's playing good football this year at Michigan, but no, I mean I think this AFC is tough, man. Like you said, you guys are gonna already have 5 of your 6 division games done after 11 weeks after you play the Browns and then the Bengals weeks 10 and 11. So
we just got the Steelers right at the end.
Steelers at the end. You still have the Niners, the Jaguars, Dolphins.
All of our divisional games are home games for us too. So it's a nice little ride. Glad we got all the away games out of the way early. Went 2-1 out of the away games, so not bad.
You have Jacksonville, I think in Jacksonville Sunday night, and then you have the 49ers in San Francisco Christmas night. So you guys have a pretty tough schedules.
Then we got the Chargers on Sunday Night Football.
And we just don't know which Chargers we're going to get.
In LA.
It'll probably be a lot more purple than gold and blue.
Yeah, basically the Eastern, the West Coast home game for the Ravens.
Well, like I said, it's going to be tough times coming up. Like I said, Bengals are hot. The whole AFC North right now too, Luke, since the Jets lost to the Chargers, all 4 AFC North teams are in the playoffs. They're Week 9. So pretty crazy.
All 2 games. Every team's 2 games above 500 too. So it is a hot race right now in the AFC North.
Yeah, every team. The other 3 teams are 5-3, and you're 7-2. So
Deshaun Watson played last week. He looked decent, looked pretty good.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even know he was gonna play, and then all of a sudden on Red Zone, I see number 4 out there. I was like, I don't know why I didn't know Deshaun Watson wasn't playing. I was picking them with or without Deshaun, so I didn't.
Yeah, I picked him. I picked him either way, but he played. He did all right. 2 touchdowns, 219 yards. His 1 touchdown was a tip ball, but counts.
He looked a little rusty. He still was on the roller coaster train, but yeah, like I said, this AFC, man, it's heating up, man. It's not just the Ravens and the Chiefs. You still have the Jaguars there, the Bengals. It does suck though. I was saying earlier tonight during the Jets and Chargers game, I really do feel bad for the Jets because if Aaron Rodgers is here, I really do think that they're fucking 8-0, or at least worst case 7-1, maybe lose tonight, but. I think that this team is so much better in the AFC East, especially the AFC East, the Dolphins and the Bills and the Patriots. They would be fucking way behind the Jets right now, and the Jets would be arguably the best team in the league. So, sucks that we didn't get to see Aaron Rodgers this year for the majority of the year.
Yeah, hopefully he can play all season next season
or 12-28.
Yeah, hey, little rumors he might be back. Late December.
That watch is saying 12-28.
Couple. Second last week, week 18.
It would be like week 16, I think, something like that.
It's a Thursday game.
Yeah, against the Browns is what it was. So we're all eyes on the AFC.
Come back and beat up the Browns.
That'd be awesome for you. You'd love that.
Yeah, I know. It'd be perfect.
No, but all eyes on the AFC all year, man. It's gonna be good. Good matchups coming up. But Luke, speaking of a good matchup, in Philadelphia yesterday, the Cowboys and more specifically Dak Prescott played a fantastic game. So I guess was this more about how the Cowboys let the opportunity slip, or was this more about the Eagles just surviving?
I think a little bit of both. I mean, this is a game the Cowboys easily could have won the game. Like they came up short twice, like right on the goal line, which really sucks for them. Like this game could have easily been like 30+28 for the Cowboys. I mean, so I see the Eagles fans going all crazy about it, but it's a lot closer than the scoreboard says, and the scoreboard says it's pretty close.
Well, shame on Mike McCarthy too, because like I understand going for it on 4th down when they're on the 1-yard line where Dak just stepped out at. That's fine, but when you're at like the 20-something yard line, I get it. You maybe didn't get the ball. You're gonna get the ball back. But you still have plenty of time to get the ball back. Kick the field goal, make it 28-26. And then guess what? That last drive, all you need is a fucking field goal from Aubrey, who's been one of the hottest kickers to start an NFL career. Like he's hotter than any kicker in history of football start a career. So Mike McCarthy, I think he's on a hot seat too. I think his management, well, actually he might not be because Jerry Jones likes yes men, but I think it was more about the Cowboys costing opportunities because you had a lot of the nice throw on that same play they went for on the 1-yard line. The tight end didn't reach out early enough. Maybe a better throw, more out in front. He can by Dak, but the run game hasn't been there. I don't know why. Mike McCarthy let go of Kellen Moore to run the ball and be more balanced. And Pollard the last 3 games, actually look at this since the Patriots game, 11 carries, 8 carries, 15, 12, and 12. Averaging 4.3 last night and 4.4 against the Rams. I get it was a blowout against the Rams, so you didn't really need him, but he's averaging almost over 4 yards a carry. Fucking let him run. Take the pressure off Dak, who, by the way, had a phenomenal game. Like, this was not on Dak. Dak had 374 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was pretty good yesterday. I mean, like I said, they got to the goal at 6-yard line, too, on that last drive and beat themselves up. So I thought this was more about the Cowboys just kind of blowing it.
Really surprised the Cowboys didn't try to go after a running back, knowing they were having an issue running the ball. Pollard's not the every down back that they thought he was going to be. He still needs that 1-2 punch, that big bruiser running back. They could have easily went and picked up Fournette. He's been sitting on the couch all season. He looks fucking massive.
There was a big bruiser. Oh yeah, he looks good. He's ready to go. Playoff one. If the Bills make the playoffs. So, but there was a big bruiser, Luke, that was available. I know the owner said she was not going to trade him. I call bullshit. If the offer is good enough, she trades him. Derrick Henry was available. It was well known the Titans were looking to trade anybody. The offer had to be there. Derrick Henry makes the Dallas Cowboys a lot better. It takes the pressure off Pollard, like you said. He gets down to a third down back. You put Dak Prescott with him. Either they're going to stack the box and Dak and CeeDee Lamb are going to have more one-on-ones, Brandon Cooks, or they're going to push back and respect Dak Prescott a lot more, and Derrick Henry's going to fucking get 8-9 yard runs. So
yeah, I mean, allegedly the Ravens had a deal done with the Titans for Derrick Henry, but the Titans owner shot it down, which is unfortunate for us because that would have been a scary backfield with Derrick Henry and Lamar.
Yeah. No, I think
our running backs they're all playing pretty well. So I like it. Oh, Mitchell, his dad played for the Ravens, and now he had a big 100-yard game touchdown.
I saw that, yeah. But I think Dallas, they were well content on just not trading during the deadline. And I said it. I know I saw reports that, hey, Dallas would be a good fit for him. And I was looking into it. After I saw those reports, I was actually looking into the Cowboys. I'm like, he would be a good fit with Dak Prescott. And by the way, speaking of more opportunities, Luke, they could not stop a hobbled Jalen Hurts. He was not healthy yesterday, and they were letting him kind of just run for first downs after first downs. And that's a shame on the defense too. I get the Eagles played well enough to win the game. They put up 28 points against a good defense. But nothing in the fourth quarter. Dallas, you got to step it up, man. This is where the division can be won. Now, after this week, they're on a bye week, and then you win next week. Now you're tied with the division. Technically, you have the division lead because of head-to-head. So now they're going to be probably 2 games back after this week.
Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Got to get Parsons off his podcast and get him back in practice. And he's talking a lot of shit on his podcast, but every time he's talking shit, it's kind of bites him in the ass coming the next week.
And if the Eagles do win the division too, Luke, this will be the first time since the 2003 and 2004 Eagles that the NFC East has had a back-to-back division winner. It's been 18 years since it's happened.
I need the Cowboys defense to figure it out because they've been riding my fantasy bench for too long for a defense.
So, I was just disappointed. I know it's the rumor of Jim Harbaugh is floating around, and we're going to talk about him later. And people are like, well, I've heard some rumors in my other chats that, hey, Harbaugh to Dallas would be good. I don't think the fit with Jared Jones would be good for Jim Harbaugh, but McCarthy should be on the hot seat if Jared Jones wants to win because his situation awareness, his game management, I'm just not a fan of it. You let go of Kellen Moore because he was too high flying, too much vertical passing, but you're not utilizing your running backs. And I get it. CeeDee Lamb had a great game, 11 catches for 190-plus yards. Phenomenal game in Philly. So I think Dallas was the better team, but they did not win.
Yeah. I don't see Jerry Jones letting go of McCarthy just yet. It'd be kind of hard to fire him. Still, Dallas is still playing good football, and Jerry Jones wants that coach is going to do whatever he says, and Harbaugh is not going to be that head coach. I don't think. As Jerry Jones wants to let go of the reins of the staffing, I don't think it's going to work out with them.
Yeah, I definitely don't think it's going to happen either. But no, good win for the Eagles. I think it was a bad loss for the Cowboys. I mean, I get it. It's cool to see Dak play good. Yeah, it's good to see Dak play good on the road. People can't really rip him, but I think Dallas hurt themselves, Luke. Hey, and speaking of hurting themselves, the Miami Dolphins. They played 3 winning teams. They're 0-3. And, they're not averaging good points against teams, and their defense is allowing – besides this game is a little better defensively. They only allowed 21 points. Well, they only allowed 14 points on defense because they had a fumble return. The Chiefs did. So, but, Luke, are the Miami Dolphins, if they make the playoffs, or they probably will win the division, are they just going to be pretty much one and done? They're not even going to win a game. They're just in the fucking wild card, and they're done.
I mean, the secret is just locking down Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, 8 catches, but he couldn't break free. He only had 62 yards on 8 catches. Usually, if he has 8 catches, he's got 150 yards. So that first person on defense making the tackle, locking Tyreek Hill down, not letting him run free is probably the answer to this Miami offense. Plus, I mean, you put a little pressure on Tua, he's going to make some questionable throws. So, I mean, Mostert had a pretty good game, 12 carries, 85 yards, and touchdowns. So that's not a bad game from him, but the passing game just was not there for Miami. Tua just looked off, and Tyreek Hill couldn't get open in wide open space, and run it like he usually does.
No, yeah, I mean he had a lot of catches, and I really don't think that fumble. I mean, if you ask me, I don't think it was even a fumble. I don't think he cleared that he had even possession of the ball where he let go of it. Very good on the Chiefs for keeping playing and then pitching it back, which I thought they're also going to call dead ball right there for progress. But no, Luke, in these 3 losses, though, against these winning teams, the Dolphins are averaging 17 points a game. Their defense is giving up, like, I think, close to 30 points out of those 3 losses. And when they play these lousy teams, they're putting like 30 plus up. Their defense is electric. So I just think that the Dolphins, they just can't play good against teams that play good defense, that play good offense. And we've seen the Chiefs play good defense. The Bills that time playing good defense. And the Eagles, yeah, they might have had some good calls from the referees, but they only still put up 17 points. So that's still there as well. I'm not as impressed with the Miami Dolphins this year. I don't think that they're a team that, hey, let's say, watch out for the Miami Dolphins. They're gonna make a run for the playoffs. If you're asking me right now, they're the 5th scariest team in the AFC, behind the Ravens, Chiefs, not in the order, but Ravens, Chiefs, Bengals, and the Jaguars. Honestly,
Yeah, I mean, Miami's going to make the playoffs. Like they're going to win their divisions, like probably without a question at this point. Their schedule doesn't look bad coming up. I mean, they got the Raiders, Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets. Like that is not a bad schedule, and that's a Jets game before 2 Jets games before Aaron Rodgers potentially will even be available. But then they finish the season off pretty strong with Cowboys, Ravens, Bills. So I mean,
well, let's keep on the Jets. If the Jets are a winning record by then, though, I'd be a little scared if I'm the Miami Dolphins. Though that's one thing.
Yeah, but what I don't know. I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back on December 17th. It's gonna be a little early.
Yeah, that's gonna that'll be a little early. But I mean, I think though the Jets, though, like you mentioned, like yeah, they get the Raiders and then they have the Jets. But the Jets, they play defense, so that might be one of those sloppy, chippy games where the Jets defense holds them down to 17, 20 points, and can Zach Wilson just do enough? But I mean,
they'll probably drop 30 plus on the Raiders and Commanders though, and get the Miami hype train rolling again about how good their offense is. Then they'll play the Cowboys defense and they'll put up 14 points.
Yeah, their last 4 is pretty tough. I get it. They host the Jets and the Dolphins, but then you got to go to Baltimore and then you got to host the Bills, and the Bills might be playing for a playoff spot. So the December schedule, the late in December and early January schedule, that's pretty tough for the Miami Dolphins. So
they got an easy few weeks coming up, but after that, it's that playoff push is going to be rough if they drop a couple more games here.
Yeah, I'm just not as worried about Miami as I get it. They have Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. They have track speed all over, and they're going to get A-Chain back eventually. Ramsey's back, and he's doing his thing. But it's shown that they don't play good against good teams. So until it's like Lamar, I'm asking Lamar to prove me wrong in the playoffs. Like I'll admit Lamar's playing good, but it's like Lamar. I want Miami
good against good teams too.
He is, and that's why I'm not as down on Lamar. That's why I'm saying he's 2 right now in the AFC. We'll see what the Bengals do in a couple weeks when they play him. But I want to see Miami prove me wrong. They have to beat a winning team for me to say that you're a respectable team. If you can't beat a winning team, I'm sorry. I just don't respect you as much. I get it. All these other teams in the top have beaten winning teams.
It's gonna be a long time to respect the Miami Dolphins because they're not going to play a winning team for a little while.
Unless the Jets are 6-4 when they play them, because if they're 5-5, it's not a winning record. It's just 500. Now, if they light up the defense, don't get me wrong. I'll respect the offense. Like if you hang 35 on the Jets defense, okay, I'll say great game. Like that's a good defense. You just lit up. So it's not like that. But I need to see something from these good teams.
Only if the Jets offense doesn't put their defense in terrible positions.
Yeah, I mean, if they're scoring from like the 2 yard, like they did today. The last Chargers touchdown came from like the 2 yard line, so where they got the ball gifted there, and it was an easy touchdown for Eckler. But look, there's a good story going around the NFL, and it happened in Atlanta, but it's from the Minnesota Vikings. Joshua Dobbs, this fucking space engineer, whatever he is, from the University of Tennessee. He's on his 3rd team in the last year. Got traded to the Minnesota Vikings on Tuesday. Stepped in for Jaren Hall, which we mentioned to start the show, and he came out and he played a pretty good football game to lead the Vikings over the Atlanta Falcons. So I guess the question is Josh Dobbs going to keep the Minnesota Vikings afloat in this NFC wild card race?
Yeah, I mean, they're sitting at 5-4 right now, so it's like pretty good for how the season started for them. I mean, they were everybody thought they were in full tank mode going into the trade deadline. Then they pull off a couple of wins without Justin Jefferson. Then they lose Kirk Cousins and still win. Now they start a rookie quarterback from BYU, and he goes out early, and Josh Dobbs comes in, no practice, and somehow they pull off another win. So I mean, they're still in the hunt. I mean, NFC is pretty weak anyways, so they're definitely contending for one of those playoff spots, the wild card slots.
Yeah, right now they're the seventh spot in the NFC playoffs, and they're 5-4. The Commanders and Falcons are 4-5. So, I mean, the NFC is not deep at all. So it's only really like a 9. I guess you can say maybe 10 with Tampa because I don't respect Green Bay or enough, even though they're the same record. So really maybe 10 with if Tampa's respectable. But yeah, man, and sucks for Jaren Hall. He was actually looking pretty comfortable his second drive. The first drive he didn't look as impressive, but second drive he got him down to the 1 yard line. And if he didn't get hurt, I told Riz, he's a Vikings fan, you're probably going for that touchdown on the 1 yard line because he was playing with momentum and confidence. You're not going to put Dobbs on there on the first play after an injury to the quarterback position. So Jaren Hall was looking pretty decent too.
Not going to put Josh Dobbs in there without even taking a single rep of the center too. I saw the little video of him with the lineman trying to get the cadence down before he went out. I mean, very impressive for him to come in there. I mean, I saw somebody was talking about it like he was playing street ball. The wide receivers were telling him the routes he was running. He was just going to throw it to him. So very impressed with him. Plus, he had 7 carries for 66 yards. So
and a touchdown
when he didn't have, I mean, besides his couple fumbles, I mean, he had 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing touchdown. So I mean, he played well. I think he's going to be good enough to carry this team. Plus, Justin Jefferson should be coming back maybe this week or next week, a couple of weeks. But also, they lost Cam Akers this season too. So the injury bug Minnesota Vikings just can't get over it. It sucks.
And Osborne's probably going to be out this week against the Saints, but maybe be back. And if they lose to the Saints, I get it. It's a good defense in New Orleans. It's going to be Minnesota, but a good defense from the Saints. After that, it's a pretty favorable schedule. You have the Broncos right now, Sunday Night Football, that could be flexed out, but you have them, you have the Bears, you have the Raiders. Before that, and then after that, you have the Bengals and Lions. So you get these 3 games after the Saints, and then bam, there you are. You're 8-5, and you can maybe afford to lose a game or 2 out of those 2, maybe even steal a game. But yeah, Josh Dobbs, like you said, not a great yards game, but 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. He didn't know really anyone's name. He didn't take any reps with the team during practice this week. 0 reps with the first team. That's pretty impressive. And I'm not saying Dobbs is a world beater, but I think with their schedule, it's pretty favorable. They can maybe get 9 wins, and the NFC, you might only need 8 wins. Honestly, that's how bad it is.
Plus, their defense is playing a lot better now than they were earlier this season too. Not saying they're an outstanding defense by any means, but they're playing good football on defense too. I think this team's they're getting a little more cohesive. I mean, everybody's kind of rallied around Kirk Cousins because that was a huge loss to them. I mean, you can see how much the team loved him. Everybody came out with Kirk Cousins t-shirts on. It's kind of cool to see. And they're rallying around Josh Dobbs now. I mean, saw how the locker room welcomed him after the game. So impressive win for Dobbs. I mean, being on 5 teams in a year time and learning 5 different offenses is very impressive. It kind of shows how smart he is. I was never too high on him. I didn't think he was going to be like a starter, a consistent starter on any team. But he's going to get paid somewhere. Maybe as a backup, but he'll get paid somewhere.
No, and like you said, like their defense is 13th in yards per game, and they are getting to the QB. They do have 24 sacks, and yeah, they get 21 points a game, but that's not bad for a defense, honestly. And this defense is a lot better under Brian Flores. This is the defense that I know a lot of Vikings people were very excited to see what Flores was going to do coming from the Steelers. Obviously, he's known with the Patriots and the Dolphins as well. But yeah, I'm excited to see Josh Dobbs. Unfortunately, Luka came in the Falcons' expense. So when they get to the Super Bowl this year, and they fucking will because Josh Dobbs is a beast, just to let you know the Atlanta Falcons is the reason why he's there. And with that being said, if Arthur Smith can't get this team to playoffs, he needs to fucking go. And he can take Ritter and he can take Heineke with him, and we can get a new quarterback. It's that simple. These two got to go. And Arthur Smith, with the talent he has, and Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts, I get Drake London didn't play and they have been getting him involved, but you have 3 first-round picks in your last 3 drafts, and you're not fucking using them. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
It really is. I thought Pitts had more targets yesterday. He only had like 5 or 6 targets. Disappointing.
Is Arthur Smith, does he call the offense too?
It's a mixture of him and the coordinator, honestly. It's
he's got to go too. Get them both out of here.
I love the DC. I love the DC. Yeah, get Harbaugh. Fucking, we saw what Harbaugh did with San Francisco. I was looking at today. They went 6-10 in 2010 under Mike Singletary and then their interim coach for 1 game. They brought in Jim Harbaugh. They were the 1 seed the first year he came in, went 13-3 with Alex Smith, who almost got fucking canned and was almost gone with the coaching staff that drafted them in the Niners. So he turned them around, and we have a good offense, and I do think we have a good defense. I get it. Last couple games, not so much, but I think we have a good young defense. They're just kind of getting gassed out at the moment. But you get Jim Harbaugh in there, fuck yeah, he'll make it. He'll make it. What was that?
So your defense doesn't have enough film on these quarterbacks they're playing. It's
it's true. Well, we know what Kyler Murray can do, so hopefully we'll be good there.
Yeah, you don't have any film on him from this season. It might be different.
That's the problem. But yeah, get Jim Harbaugh in Atlanta, and he'll make an average QB look pretty decent. So that's his memo. He did it with fucking Alex Smith, and I didn't think Kaepernick was great, but he made Kaepernick look pretty good. There's a couple good years out of Colin Kaepernick. So, and that was under Jim Harbaugh.
Yeah, I mean, both Harbaughs, good coaches, both levels. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Michigan now, but
they're talking about punishment. The Big Ten's talking about punishment. So, I think one word of punishment, he's gone.
I don't know. I don't see how you can do something done like this season, like maybe suspend him, Harbaugh or something like that. But are you really going to take that away from the players? The players had nothing to do with it, but. Not my decision.
Well, I mean,
to see what happens with it.
They did use the film, so it's not like they didn't know about it. It was just,
It's not like the players had control over it. And like, hey, coach, stop doing this. No, it's never going to happen. I doubt the players are like, hey, go to this team and fucking film everything. It's not the players doing that. I think it's that guy just going rogue. He just sounds like a fucking psychopath. Harbaugh may not even know.
He got fired.
Oh, yeah, I saw that. Harbaugh may not have known exactly what he was doing. He was just getting the good intel for him and just didn't question it.
It took 2 games from, I think, like around 2 games to get fired. So this man was still hanging around the facility while everyone's fucking ripped Michigan for cheating. So, yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty crazy. But Ohio State, I mean, potentially could be in trouble too.
Yeah, I saw some reports of them too.
And apparently, as Ryan Day's brother was the private investigator, so that illegally went and got the information. So I mean, do they have to punish Ohio State too?
Well, I guess we'll find out. It's definitely a mess.
Technically, what Michigan didn't do was illegal. What Ohio State did was.
Well, no, what Michigan's doing is illegal too. If they're filming,
well, not like real world against the law.
Oh yeah. Not against the law. Yeah. So it's football world. It's illegal, yeah. But yeah,
football it's bad, but real world, Ohio State is hacking into Michigan servers and shit.
Hey man, you gotta overcome these cheaters, man. Yeah, allegedly
don't know if anything's happened.
Got to overcome the cheaters, but Luke, a guy that did not cheat. You mentioned Ohio State. Good segue here. CJ fucking Stroud, the guy that should have been the first pick in the draft. Wasn't, though. He's number 2. This man had a game of his life. 30 out of 42. Yeah. Pretty good right there. 470 yards, the most for a rookie in the history of the NFL, and 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers. The man had a day yesterday.
Yeah, it's a very, very impressive win from him. right at the end of the game, I think he had like 40 seconds left to drive down, had
46
to get a
seconds
touchdown.
when they got the ball back.
Yeah,
46.
and
It only
like
took 40
he didn't look,
seconds.
yeah, he didn't look nervous or anything. He just drove the ball right down the field, just dotted up the Tampa defense, which is not a bad defense either. So I mean, outstanding game from him. I mean, he played very well. Like any quarterback that puts up 470 and 5 touchdowns, it's an outstanding game. It's very rare that a quarterback does that in the NFL these days.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw where it was like one of the biggest fantasy days for a quarterback, too, which is pretty impressive from a rookie. And not just that, Luke. He got 3 receivers. He got 3 of his receivers at 100 yards. Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz, and Take Dell, and Nico Collins had a touchdown. So all 4 receivers had some pivotal games because of CJ Stroud. And this is with
Yeah,
the lackluster run game, too. Take away his 10 yards. So 43 rushing yards from other guys that are not named CJ Stroud. So it's not like the running game's helping him. I get the O-line they've been better than we thought they were going to be, but no run game. And CJ Stroud is putting the team on his back.
I mean, you've seen it all season with him so far. He's making like these calculated decisions at the quarterback position. Like he's just taking the easy throws, not forcing anything. I mean, you can see each week he's getting more and more confident that he's making these deeper passes down the field. But he's just out there picking apart defenses. I mean, credit to him. I mean, he's showing that he's putting in the work like during the week, learning these defenses. So he's out there not getting schemed against. I mean, usually it's very hard for a rookie quarterback to come out and perform like this against defenses that defenses love playing against rookie quarterbacks usually. So I mean,
It's
for him
shame.
to go and pick apart defenses week after week after week, I mean, even some of these games he lost. I mean, he's not really the reason the Texans lost.
Well, I would say the Panthers game, he had a bad game. And you're a rookie.
Yeah,
You're going to have those games. I mean, you're a professional quarterback. It happens. You have bad games. Now, they are 4 and
you're
4, Luke.
also playing against other professionals. So
Yeah, you're playing against other professionals. It's a big boys league here. And
it's not college anymore.
I am glad that I'm half right because I had the Texans, I think, with only like 2 or 3 wins. But I did say when we did all our takes, and we're talking about, what kind of bad takes we had. I actually had a good take. I said the Texans, they might not win a lot of games, which I'm wrong on that part. I'll admit that. I only had them like 2 or 3 wins. I think I had them arguably like the second or third pick. But I said they were going to be competitive in a lot of these games. I said that they were going to show the potential. They were going to show the potential that they had. They're a young team, and they were going to start showing that at an earlier stage. And you know what? They are blossoming them probably a year or two earlier than most people expected. And D'Amico Ryan's too, hell of a coach as well. So
Yeah.
these Houston Texans, man, like they are balling.
Watch out for him next year, season or two. Had a couple years under CJ Stroud. They start building around him a little bit better. Okay, get that run game going, get the defense going. So I mean, couple good drafts away from and a couple big players add additions. This team's gonna be really scary.
And also, Luke, one last thing before we move on. Shame on the individual expert of this cognition test saying that CJ Stroud's a big old dummy. Because guess what, pal? He ain't a dummy. Your dumbass is the dummy out of anything. CJ Stroud is proving he's smarter than any of these rookie quarterbacks that you put out there. Will Levis, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young. CJ Stroud is the star of this fucking draft class, buddy.
Well,
like you said, he's not a test taker. He's a football player.
we haven't seen enough of Will Levis yet, so I wouldn't go that far. Will Levis did play pretty well last week in a loss, but
he, like you said though, he's not a test taker. He's a football player. That's what he is. He's proven it.
He did say that, yeah. And he is playing football pretty well.
I'm impressed, man. Like I like what I'm seeing.
I mean,
Houston might be a real.
And if he stays healthy and doesn't like implode, I mean, he'll get offensive rookie of the year pretty easily.
And Houston might be a sleeper. Like I wouldn't say like dominant team next year, but they might be a sleeper watch out team next year. Where I mean, they're 4-4 now. Like they're not out of the playoffs or like they're out of the playoffs right now, but like out of the playoff race by any means. So I would say watch out for Houston Texans. And I get that you guys did beat them by like 15 or so, but they didn't play a horrible game.
No, I mean he was dotting up the Ravens defense pretty good. It's just
they couldn't score.
And don't break. Yeah.
But
I don't
no,
think he had any
yeah,
turnovers against the Ravens. I just, he was just little dump off passes that just ended up not being able to get first downs.
yeah, no. Well, it's good to see the Houston Texans doing good, Luke. But a quarterback that's not doing good, in my opinion, and is the reason why the Seattle Seahawks are not going to be. I mean, they're going to be a playoff team, but they're not going to make a run in the playoffs. Is Geno Smith, and I guess that's the question: is if Geno doesn't start to show that level of play he had last year, where he was pretty good, is it time for the Seattle Seahawks to potentially draft a quarterback or find a quarterback in the free agency market? Because Geno Smith, I get it, they signed him, but they can cut him, I think, around 17 and a half dead cap, which is not that much for a quarterback. So he could be gone after 1 year. That's the way they built the deal, essentially, is depending on when he's on the team, he could be gone. So is it time for Seattle to maybe start thinking QB if he doesn't start showing better play?
Yeah, Geno Smith just straight up just robbed the Seattle Seahawks. Like just this one game against the Ravens, like isn't his only bad game. So I mean, he has not lived up to expectations that he had from last season. Last season, he balled out, earned his bag, and now okay, got his bag, got comfortable. I guess. I mean, he's not playing well. I mean, he had 157 passing yards this week, and 50 of those were on one play,
That's not
and they
good.
still didn't. And they only scored a field goal on that that drive. Still, I mean, so
I
I
mean,
mean,
he's
then
only got 9 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. So he's literally just barely a 1-to-1 touchdown interception ratio, which is not good.
yeah, I mean, I don't understand how like they had a very good wide receiver trio, and they all played this last week. And Jigba, yeah, he had 6 catches for 63 yards. So I mean, not a terrible game from him for the rookie, but
DK had
DK
one
one
catch. Yeah,
one catch for 50 yards, and it's just I think that was like on a slant too. The DK took it for most of those yards, and Lockett only had 3 catches. I mean they just couldn't get the run game going either. Ravens locked them down to 28 rushing yards as a team.
yeah. That's another thing is they're not really utilized. I mean, for some reason, it's like last week. This is Seahawks. I know they won, but they only had 8 carries, like 64 yards from Kenneth Walker, and then they stopped using him. He had a good fucking rushing game, and you're not even going to use your average 8 yards a carry, and you stop using him.
Yeah,
It just makes no sense.
well,
Um,
Walker had nine for 16 this week with
I
1.8
tried
average.
I tried telling Doc that Gino was not that good the second half of the season, like the back stretch, like maybe not the whole second half, but like the last month and a half. He had a very bad last quarter of the season essentially, and it carried into the playoffs where they got blown out. And I said he wasn't worth it, and you know he robbed them. I mean he did, and that's just 1 year. You can get out of it, but Gino needs to improve his play, or the Seahawks need to think about QB options in the offseason because this team is talented enough. We've seen this defense. I get it. They had a bad game. Their offense didn't help them neither. Their offense put them in bad spots. But this defense has been balling the last 5 weeks. And the offense is there, like you said. They have DK, Locke. He was a little older, but, Najigba is pretty good. Walker and Charbonnet. You have the core there. You got to get a QB to get you over the top.
Yeah, it's not like their offensive line's like that terrible either. I mean, yeah, the Ravens. I mean, they scheme up pretty good that you don't know who's coming, where to block. So I mean, that's the big thing for the Ravens defense is you don't know which guy's coming. I mean, we'll send a safety at you, or we'll send a D lineman at you, or we'll drop D lineman into coverage. So it's kind of
Yeah.
crazy scheme the Ravens defense run. But I mean, we saw like you can see in the Ravens game, they had four wide receivers spread out, and we only had 2 corners on the field covering them. So like the Ravens defense showed that they could just send the whole house at them, and they're not going to get the ball off fast enough to even get these screens out. So Geno Smith's not reading like the easy ones too. Like the Ravens will have the entire team in the box, and he won't throw it to the wide receiver out sitting on an island by himself.
And in their last 4 games, I get it. They played 2 tough defenses the last 2 weeks, and they did beat the Cleveland Browns 24-20. And Gino did have a pretty good last couple drives, but he did have 2 interceptions. And then this past week against the Ravens, 3 points. The game against the Cardinals, that was before the Browns, 20 points. In the game against the Bengals, 13 points. Their offense, to me, is just holding them back. And that starts at the quarterback position there. That's what it is that's your quarterback. That's why I say Atlanta too. You need a quarterback. We have the talent. You got to get the QB right. And Pete needs to start thinking about a quarterback in the offseason. He really does.
Well, a lot of them coming up in the draft this year.
Well, we'll
There'll
see
be
who's
some
all.
there'll be some mid round, first round quarterbacks sitting there that'll be available.
They found a
Not
gem
everybody,
last time. They found a gem in the third or fourth round with Russell Wilson back in the day.
not everybody needs to go get the first overall pick at quarterback because they don't always pan out.
They don't. They don't. That's for sure. And Luke, we're talking about blowing things up. I guess that's not really blowing things up with Seattle, but the Buffalo Bills. There's been these rumors the last couple of years. You saw Stephon Diggs, his comments going into halftime. He says, "I'm not even sweating. I'm literally not fucking sweating." As in, like, he's not getting the ball. He's now kind of that's starting to show a little bit. He got some targets second half, but will the Buffalo Bills potentially not fully blow this team up, but make some key changes in the offseason if they don't make the playoffs or they get bounced pretty early?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what changes they need to make this happen. I'm like, Bills have all the pieces. Yeah, besides their defense is depleted, and it showed this last week. Like they're rotating guys in on defense that have barely played at all. So I mean, the defense is questionable for them. Von Miller I think it's time for him to retire. He just stands up and kind of stands on the field and doesn't really do anything. I mean,
Their
but
defense still
their offense is just not clicking. I just think it's partially the team just doesn't mesh. I think the uh, Stephon Diggs things kind of like rubs some of the team the wrong way. The Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs like tiff they have. Yeah, they say they're all good to the media, but it doesn't look like that way, and it hasn't looked like that way for any time Diggs doesn't get the ball enough. And he's just that diva wide receiver.
Well, the thing to me is yes, Joe Burrow had a great game, and he did it without a big game from Jamar Chase. The big game came from T. Higgins, but the rushing defense for the Bills was good. They held Joe Mixon to 37 yards on 14 carries. That's really good. And I think the problem to me, Luke, with the Buffalo Bills, it comes a lot from Josh Allen, and I love Josh Allen. I love watching him play because he's so electric, and you don't know what he's going to do. But the interception, that was a bad interception. That was a double clutch. I don't know why he did that. And if you are going to throw off the double clutch, you got to lead him out. You can't underthrow him by fucking 2-3 yards because the corner was there. And then Dalton Kincaid, unfortunately, got flipped in the air, and they punched the ball out. So they cost themselves right there 2 fucking turnovers, and I think there's another turnover or another
that intentional grounding.
Yeah,
that one got them too.
So it's like
I don't think I agree with that one too much because Zach Wilson literally did the exact same thing. Oh no, Herbert did the exact same thing in this game today, and they didn't call it. It was like a choice route that the wide receiver took a different route, and he sailed it way over his head when he's in the pocket. No flag. So I mean, Josh Allen said that was the first time he's ever seen a flag for that too. So weird call.
I remember that one. Yeah, they were talking about in the booth.
Yeah, I get it. Like I guess it meets the criteria for intentional grounding, but it also wasn't intentional grounding. Like he didn't intentionally throw the ball away.
He thought the receiver was going to be going that way.
Yeah, it was not his intent to throw the ball away.
I mean, I just thought the Kincaid one. They were driving. They were getting down there.
That sucks.
It did suck, and they lost 20. And they had a chance to get the ball back. You know, all they had to do is stop Joe Mixon on I think it was third down, and I mean
Von Miller whiffed.
Got it. He whiffed, and they did the right thing. I guess they went for the 2-point conversion after that touchdown, and all they needed was a touchdown on the last drive, and they would have gotten it. But
they got it. But touchdown and fucking 2-point was both the Diggs, so he can fucking chill out.
So like, I was comparing Josh. So like to me, Josh Allen. I guess some people don't see it this way, but when I watch Brett Favre play, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, they play like Brett Favre. Josh Allen is more of the turnover Brett Favre with all those interceptions that Favre had, and Mahomes he's better. So a lot of his shit, his backyard style works. To me, that's what Josh Allen does. He tries so much to be like Superman, and he tries to do so much when he doesn't need to, and it cost him. And unfortunately, that's what's happening.
Plus, I think that shoulder is still fucked up for him, so he's taking a little more cautious when he's running too. You can see there's a lot of opportunities that he would normally take off and run for the first down. And he just didn't. So I think that shoulder's still bugging him. And the announcers were talking about it during the game too.
He was trying to land on his left shoulder every time he was getting brought down.
Yeah.
You can see him try and turn. But no, back to the question though. I think that if they don't make a big push, like AFC Championship or further, I think that this team could not get fully blown up, but there's going to be some key changes in the offseason. And like you said, what is that? We don't know. I think Dig could be out the door. I think that they draft maybe a top receiver in the draft, maybe trade up similar to what Atlanta did with Julio Jones. We traded up big to go get Julio Jones, even though we had Roddy White. Maybe they get a young, phenomenal receiver. You have Abuka from Ohio State. You have Neighbors from LSU. Maybe you go pair him up with Josh Allen, these young phenoms in College Nation, and bring them with Josh Allen. And then maybe they'll get a good rapport, and Josh Allen's young enough they'll be there for a while with him. So maybe that's what they start doing.
I could only see them really moving on from Diggs. That's even more like noteworthy of them moving on. I think that they need somebody else at running back too. Like I don't think little baby Cook's getting it done.
They hate running backs. It's just, Buffalo hates running backs. It's just I don't get it.
None of them just I don't know. I don't understand why. None of them really produce, and they just rotate running back so much. I mean, playoff Lenny's probably going to get a couple touchdowns whenever he's at elevated active roster, but nothing noteworthy for like fantasy purposes at all.
Not at all.
They'll just rotate Cook out even more, so I might as well fucking bench Cook too.
But I do think the window is you can see some sunlight, maybe like a little crack, but I think that this window that they had from 2020 to 2022, it's slow. It's pretty much done. I think the window is shut, and soon they'll be boarding up the windows, and it's time to get out of the darkness. Hopefully, they do something in the offseason. It's a good team to watch.
Yeah, my early offseason prediction was that they missed the playoffs. So, I mean, that one's, as of right now, is holding strong.
You are holding strong, and that was a good take. Like I said, I had a good take with Houston. I had a good take with AFC North too. I said 4 teams to be winning records. Now, I'm not right on the who missed the playoffs portion. I said I had the Ravens missing it, but that's kind of like a half good take, half bad take because I had all 4 at a winning record. Literally, I think the Ravens were tied with the last team in the playoffs, but just tiebreak purposes went to that team somehow.
Oh, all 4 are currently in the playoffs right now too.
Yeah, that's
the whole AFC North is in the playoffs right now. I don't think it'll happen because we got to beat each other up a little bit more. So
that's true. I mean, yeah, it's true because the Bengals stuff. Yeah, they all have to play each other essentially. Still another go around, but Luke, overreaction.
A little bit.
I have an overreaction, Luke. I know we typically end Monday's show with an overreaction. This is an overreaction for the 2024 season. CJ Stroud will be in the MVP race next year. He will finish somewhere in the top 3 to top 5 candidates next year in the MVP race if he's healthy. Now, obviously, I got fucked with my Super Bowl prediction because Aaron Rodgers isn't healthy, but I'm going to say if healthy, CJ Stroud will be no sophomore slump next year, will be a top 5 MVP candidate after the season's over. It's a little ways away, and we probably forget about it, but it's on record.
It's tough because you just never know what's going to happen next season. So it could be anybody get hot. Like you have another rookie come out get hot. Caleb Williams could be the MVP for the season. Unlikely, but
unlikely.
I didn't come prepared with an overreaction.
Yeah, I know. I didn't text that on the normal text that we do with kind of like a little low key schedule. So. No, I just thought it'd be nice out there. I just think
something real quick.
There's a lot of them out there, man. Like Minnesota Vikings going to the Super Bowl. I mean, don't think it's gonna happen.
That was not even realistic.
It could be. I mean, you never know with Josh Dobbs. Maybe he's the new Nick Foles. Maybe he's the smartest dude in the NFL.
I mean, if they get Justin Jefferson back, they can have some. I mean,
he should be available after.
They're not going to have a run game, but
JJ should be available in a couple weeks too. So
he should be available. This should be his first week. He's available to come back. I think that was week 4 right there. Being on IR. Yeah, it goes by quick. This season's flying by.
I know.
It's already halfway over.
we're in week 10. College is already in week 11. You know, there's only 3 games left of college football. I can't wait to talk. I'm so upset that we had to, because Halloween fucked us. I'm so upset that we couldn't get college in. It was. I mean, I think this will be a good. We're gonna see the rankings tomorrow. So, and then we'll have notes for Wednesday, and we're gonna see what this committee. Yeah, this
Should be
committee.
interesting to see what they do. See if they stay put or they shuffle the top 10 a little more.
I think obviously 9 and 10 are gonna be shuffled, but I was telling you, I won't be surprised.
10 has to be, doesn't it?
Well, 9 definitely because Oklahoma lost.
Okay, Oklahoma was 9.
Ole Miss will go up to 9 probably, and then Penn State will probably go to 10. They'll probably just move them up 1.
Big matchup with Ole Miss and Alabama this week.
Ole Miss already.
No, Georgia.
No.
Ole Miss, yes.
Georgia. If Ole Miss beats Georgia, that is going to be a domino effect because how far does Georgia fall and how far does Ole Miss rise? That would be.
Because Ole Miss will probably have to jump Alabama then, even though they have the.
Ole Miss will jump. Ole Miss would jump because. See, and that's the problem that we had when I was making the notes based on what the committee said. The head-to-head for Oklahoma and Texas, it mattered to a degree, but the way that they lost to Kansas, and they didn't say it, but the way that they pretty much beat UCF, that hurt Oklahoma. They couldn't afford a loss in that situation, and it doesn't matter anyways. Head-to-head's gone because even if they were number 7 and Texas was number 8, guess what? Oklahoma lost, so who gives a shit? But the reason why they said pretty much why Texas has had it coming into last week was higher than Alabama was because the way we beat them and the way that we've won most of our games besides from Houston at the point, we were pretty much we pretty much dominated every game. Obviously lost by 4 against Oklahoma, but that's why we were at Alabama.
I think they flip you guys this week now just because they beat LSU. It's pretty dominantly beat LSU.
Yeah, but they're also going to say how the Daniels effect too. You know, they stayed
fourth quarter. And they were up by 2 scores, I think, already at that point.
But they stayed put. They didn't do anything when Daniels got out. So it's like, I mean, I get it. Like, I can see them jumping us, but I wouldn't be shocked if they keep the top 8 the same. Like, I wouldn't be shocked at all. So I mean, it's just what they're going to value more. That's the problem. Is resume doesn't. It's so hard to do full resume with Texas and Alabama because we have played each other. Now the first 16 or the first 5 teams, they're all undefeated. So that is a resume basis because head-to-head, there is no head-to-head. That's unfortunate that the situation is there.
I wouldn't be too surprised to see Washington slide up into the number 4 slot over Florida State.
Florida State still won pretty good. 3 scores.
Not until late. Like they struggled early. And you saw what Washington did. Washington put up fucking like 50 points. But
they're also going to say – but they're going to say no Wilson, no Coleman too. So they struggled on offense without the top 2 weapons on the passing game. So like it's just those things matter too. They struggled.
They struggled against a 2-win Pitt
without their top 2. The 2 of their heavily usage guys outside the quarterback. So it's like that stuff does matter. I mean, if Bama's not,
they do.
Yeah, because like if you're gonna go that route, then like I said, Bama almost lost to USF earlier in the year, so it's like, and they were fully prepared. Besides, they benched their quarterback. That was on them. It wasn't like he was hurt.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
No, it's gonna be interesting.
The polls will be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate how they fucking wait so late to put it out too. Like, just put it out early. Like, does it really take that long to talk about it?
Well, it's hard because
they make a TV show out of it every week now.
That's the problem. They want a TV show out of it. You can't do it Sunday night because you have NFL. You can't do it Monday night because you have NFL. So it's like we're not going to compete with the NFL. We got to do it Tuesday.
Yeah, it's so annoying. Like,
it is.
I think the AP polls are already out.
They're out Sundays afternoon. Yeah, Sunday afternoon every single week.
But
so
college polls are going to be slightly different.
We'll see. I do think, not to be biased, I think that it stays the same. I think 1 through 8 will be there. I think Ole Miss jumps to 9, Penn State jumps to 10, and that's going to be the top 10. So whatever 1 through 8 was, and then just move whoever 10, 11 was up. Oklahoma probably, they're done. Louisville probably sneaks to 11, and then
get Air Force out of there too.
Yeah, they got blown out. So because they got their ass fucking handed to them. So Army beats Navy, and they win the cup. So
yeah, too easy.
No,
biggest game of the year.
Biggest game of the year for Army, and they won't even have the better record than Air Force, but they'll still win the Cup.
Because they win the games that matter.
They do. And for them, it's a winner take all essentially. But Luke, great
It's
show.
A little weird for Army because they're independent until next year.
Yeah, until next year.
All right.
But no, great show, Luke. Can't wait to do our predictions tomorrow. We have 14 more games on the docket. Another Germany game. Exciting Germany game.
Last international game of the season.
Can't wait.
Last early game to wake up for.
And a shit primetime week this whole week. So
we gotta start flexing some of these games.
Well, it's hard. You can't flex Thursday and you can't flex Monday, but they should have flexed Sunday earlier. They have to do it the week before Wednesday. So they missed the deadline. Raiders, Jets,
Panthers, Bears. Thursday.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. I don't know the QBs.
Baguette almost won. So I mean,
yeah. But no, Luke, great show. Can't wait to pick these games tomorrow, man. Like I said, big win from the Ravens this week. Your first place, 7-2, game and a half over the rest of the division. Falcons are 4-5. We're a game back of the Saints. So still in the race, though. Still in the fucking race somehow. But shout out to you, Chris. I know work came calling. Doc, I know you had a bug over the weekend. Can't wait to get you guys in here tomorrow. Hopefully, that is Luke Rule. I'm Mark Davis. It's all about the Balls podcast, and we are out. Thank you for checking out another episode of All About the Balls podcast. We want to thank all of our listeners and supporters of the Sack House. You can listen to the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe and give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at the Sack House.